Hello, Miss Ava. Welcome to Comfort Legacies with Faye Michelle and our book review. Tell us all about yourself and your book and how it all came to be.
So, I was born in the South, so I live in the South, and I started writing at like 9 years old, and it was never really good stories, but I always loved writing, and so I've been writing for a long time, but I just kind of started writing poetry, and that's what my newest book is. So before it was like children's books and like picture books, but now I'm gravitating more toward poetry and novels and like other kinds of books than picture books. So um, this book I had the idea for last spring, and it's a really controversial topic, but that's kind of where I meant it to be. And I finished it last December, so I published it last December, and that's kind of how it all came to be.
Okay, so you said it's a little controversial. What do you mean by that?
So it is a pro-life book. It is not. It is more. I never meant to shame women or anything like that. That was not the point. It was just offering my perspective from a teen's perspective of the topic that you could like build upon your knowledge upon my point of view. So it was never meant to shame anyone or like discredit anyone. It was just to give my point of view and just kind of, I guess, show how I felt about it. So
Okay, so have you been receiving any type of pushback from the topic, or um, why do you say you it wasn't your ambition to shame anyone, but do you feel as though the book has been received that way?
no, I've gotten a few feedback from other people from unrelated things to my book, but I haven't gotten any feedback as of yet
Okay.
about my book in that way.
Okay, you're so young. I mean, you're 15, all of 15, and dealing with such a heavy topic, and willing to take that risk of putting yourself out there. And so, what do your peers think about you writing a book, or has it really gotten that far?
Well, my peers would be like my online. Well, I've developed online relationships to other writers, and their response to writing my book being published has been really really good, and I've gotten a lot of support for writing it, and I I I I love being in like a friendship that actually lets you write things. So it's really great. So I think that their reaction to my writing in my book has been awesome.
Okay, so tell us the name of your book.
For all of them lost.
For All of Them Lost.
Yes,
Okay, all right. For All of Them Lost. And it's a poetry book, you said.
it is.
Okay, how many pages?
87 pages.
87 pages. Wow, that's a
Yeah.
long poem.
Yeah.
So, about how many poems do you have in the book?
So I have 59 poems,
Okay,
and the length of all my poems is 76 pages, but in total it's like 80 or something like that. So um I split the poems into different poems, so it's just a whole big book of a lot of
oh,
compilation.
show us your book cover.
Okay.
Okay, all right, pull it a little bit closer. Yeah, there you go. Okay, do you have any pictures inside?
I do not.
Okay.
I do have a little flower picture, but that's
Oh,
about it.
okay. All of Them Lost. It's a pro-life book. So are you saying that all of your poems are related to the pro-life, or are they different? Or is it just one basic poem and everything is kind of centered around that one poem? How did you do your layout for the book?
So my layout is, excuse me, basically showing through different perspectives. So it does have a few poems focusing around that topic, but it also has the life and pretty much the struggles. So it all has a few poems around it, but the whole rest of the book is pretty much the struggles and the thoughts of the characters, and that's pretty much how I set it up.
Oh, so you have characters in the book as well.
I do.
Oh, okay. That's pretty interesting. See, I'm thinking about just poetry, different poems, and so it's a storyline with it.
It
Okay.
is.
Is it, so how many characters?
Two, and then if you're excluding like the children but yeah,
Are they adult
they are
characters?
teenagers.
Teenagers. Okay.
So they're friends, and they I guess help each other through different things. So their relationship.
Okay. So are the two female, two males, two a male, female, or what's the gender?
Two females.
Okay. So they just kind of two friends going through life and life situations. And so they're building, and you have a little poem that goes with it, but they are really going through different aspects and transitions of life and being a teenager.
They are.
Okay. All right. Okay. I have a daughter that does poetry. And so she's like, I lost my poems. She lost her journal book. And so she was like, I had about 100 poems in there. So I was like, oh, okay. So when you said it's a book of poetry, I thought you meant that it would be several poems and whatnot, but you actually have a storyline with characters, and it's has a poetry feel or poems in it in the book.
It does.
Okay. So how did you publish your book? Did you do it yourself? Did you do it help? How did you get to the mechanics of your book?
So I went through KDP, and
Okay.
I did it myself, but then like I transitioned to from document to KDP document. So it was an interesting experience, but I did it.
So how did you learn? How did you learn how to do that?
So I just found, I'm a type of person who just Googles stuff and finds stuff, and so I found that I could use KDP document program, which is I forgot the name of it, but it lets you just make your document and then just automatically publish it to Amazon. So that I found out that, and I just went in there and just created my account. Yeah, I started to publish a book like a year ago, and so I wasn't like completely unfamiliar to KDP, but at the same time I didn't do it that way I did it this time, so it was an experience.
Okay. So did you get your cover done yourself, or did you source it out, or how did you come about your cover? Because in writing a book, they said that's pretty much the number one thing. So how did you come across creating your cover?
I made my cover myself, and I just used fonts and images, and so it could come along really nicely.
Ah, okay. So you just saying that you Googled all your information and you came up with the idea, but you said you did children's books before, right?
I did.
Okay, so how many children's books do you have?
Let's see. One, two. I'm sorry, I always have to count mine. 1, 2, 3. At least I think it's 4.
Four? Okay, when did you start doing children's books? Because you're only 15, so when did you start doing your children's
Yes.
book?
So I did that like last year. I was 14.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's an inspiration to a lot of people that say, I don't know how to do it. I don't know what to do. Okay. So are you marketing your books? How are you marketing them?
Mostly through Instagram. I found an audience and been trying to work through Instagram and promotions and just trying to get out there through social media.
Okay, so how is that working for you?
I am doing all right. I've had 40 books sold, but I'm trying to get a little bit more more promotions and stuff. So it's been okay. It's been a different kind of journey, but
Mhm.
it's been going pretty well.
You said you sold about 40?
Hmm.
Okay. And so now you're homeschool. That's
I
what it is.
am.
You're homeschool. So so you reach out to social media a lot. So you don't have a lot of immediate classmates or something that's really, really close and whatnot. So you can kind of peddle it out to them or what have you. A lot of authors speak on what they feel is the most important aspect of being a publisher. What do you think is the most important aspect of being a publisher? Self-publishing.
The fact that I can create my own covers and not have to worry about a publishing house accepting it, that I can get my work out without having to go through so much process, and it's just a whole lot easier and a lot more rewarding, in my opinion, for our poetry book, because a lot of poetry isn't widely published. Like I would see a few poetry books in the shelf of a lot of novels, but the biggest thing to me with self-publishing is that I can publish poetry books. So
Absolutely. To give some further feedback on that is the business aspect of it. It, I was just off a call with one of the authors who said that 10% of the business is just the writing itself, but most of the rest is doing the publishing and doing the marketing for the book. And if you've sold 40 copies since December, that's pretty good. So authors don't always sell a lot of copies of book all the time. And great thing about it is that you always have your calling card. Your books get you into places that perhaps you wouldn't have thought to that you'd be in, perhaps even like being on a platform like this or being in, a television space or something like that, or perhaps end up becoming a great speaker and sharing your books and whatnot with an audience. I mean, you're young and you're an author. What do you desire or aspire to be as we get older?
well, I'm the type of person who never looks more than 5 days in the future, but I've always I've always wanted to be accepted by a bigger publishing house. Just to It's kind of one of my goals, and I would say that I would love to create more books. Is another thing that I would love to do. And as far as like being an author, I would love to do so many things, including being accepted by a publishing house. But um, I think that's my biggest goal. So
Do you have any particular publishing house that you're interested in having to pick you up?
not in particular. I have seen a lot of them, and I think it really depends on what my work is that I'm actually, you know, I have a lot of writing that I just leave. So I think I'm looking forward more like Thomas Nelson and like these like Christian publishing houses and
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, just make sure that when you do that, that you do your homework, and make sure that you can really understand the business side of that. I'm just putting a little tidbit out there. This is about you, but I've interviewed a couple of people that have done both, self-published, hybrid published, Christian published. And, at the end of the day, it kind of matters whether or not you'll be able to sell your book, you know, and you want to get that business aspect of it. I'm really interested in knowing more about your book, getting your book, maybe going to your website and seeing more. So what are the names of your children's book?
Um, The Rescue and Your Own Story Jumper.
Okay, and what is the rescue about?
It is basically about a dog finding his home and his owner, and finding someone who to adopt him,
Oh,
and weaving in through that Christian themes and finding God. And yeah, the dog finds his owner,
okay.
and just like we find God. So
Oh, okay, okay, I got you. So you kind of doing a parallel.
yes.
Okay. And so, and what's the other book?
Um, I have a few, and mostly they're like little website books. They're like find the word or something because it was something I did when I was bored. And the other one is the beauty of life and the beauty of nature or something like that. That was my first. It's not really that good. It was the first one I actually did. So
Okay. Okay. Why isn't it that good?
well, see, I learned from my experiences with I guess the formats and the pictures. And so I guess it's just my first book, so I'm kind of do better with it. But it's a good one if you like pictures and if you like less words. But
Okay. Okay. Because a lot of books are successful just being picture books.
yes,
So, yeah, a lot of, especially with children. I was thinking of redoing some of mine and making it less wordy and making it a little bit more receptive to 2 and 3 year old because my 2 year old grandson really loves the book, but he can't read it, but he reads the pictures. He can, follow it and follow the pictures and read it a little bit himself. And so picture books can be effective in that way. So, wow, Ava. Okay, so it's been so great, Ava. Is there anything that you can share about your experience that you'd like to impart to the audience?
as for the stories that I tell, I just want someone to walk away with something new that they didn't ever think about. That a new perspective, and in this case, a pandemic that's really wide in teenagers. And for self publishing, I would say take it easy and don't go fast. Like just make sure that you have everything, straight before you publish, because it's really important to have your and and I've actually seen this in my own book. It's really important to have your book match up. So
What do you mean match up to
I
the
guess
words?
to for a self-published author, it's really important for your book to match up to traditionally published books, because self-publishing is widely known as just beginner's routes and unprofessional route. So it's really important that it can stand up to a traditionally published. And one of the things I've seen in my book is that um, it's good to take back some time and make sure everything's good. So that's one of the things that I wish to do more in the future with self-publishing, and I hope that other writers will do the same thing.
So you want to refine what they do and make sure that as a self-publisher, you bring the best quality work to the forefront and not just kind of throw something together.
Yes, and one thing I have seen in my book is, things that you might not have seen whenever you might have been going through the editing process, you might have looked over. And that's one of the things that I've been looking at lately with my already published book. So I always tell people that your typos are not you, and it's not, that you are not your typos, but it's really important to make sure that you have it looking really good. And even traditionally published books will have mistakes, so don't worry about them, but make sure that is the best that you can get.
Right, right. And that's interesting that you say that. After ordering 25 books, there was still a typo that my grandson discovered. And it is distressing because you don't know how many books have gone out with typos or something like that. So it is worth getting your books edited and you can send them out for reading reviews and then people can give their honest opinion or catch errors perhaps that you didn't catch. And that's a great way to get reviews as well as to revise anything that you may need to revise before you go into full publication of your book.
Yes, and even now I have noticed typos, and it's really important that you catch them, but at the same time, don't hold yourself accountable for them. That so, even in my published books, I have found them before. So,
Right, right. You mean don't beat yourself up about it is what you're saying.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, a typo isn't you. You aren't your typo, but yeah, it mistake that makes us human, and we are infallible. We do make mistakes. I think what self-publishing brings to the table is your freedom to be able to express what you feel and get that out. It's beyond your diary, but it is a type of therapeutic way of can be healing, uh, exploring and just overall a creation of your own that will allow you to be more expressive. So that makes you feel better. And then when you feel better, you can do better. And then
yes,
eventually you will know better. You feel better, you know better, you do better. So, but I honestly think that you must start at some point and not to be discouraged. And I like your analysis of that is not you are not your typo. And your typo is not you. So don't get discouraged because I do believe that that hurt holds a lot of people back from writing their book because they feel like I'm not a good writer, but there's other things that you can do in order to assist you with publishing your book. There's
yes,
ghostwriters, there's editors, and people like that that can give you sound advice on how to. Well, Ava, this has just been great, and I'm so excited to have you here and excited that you agreed to come on to the platform. There's so many authors that have colorful stories, but they're not always willing to talk about them on a live or on a platform such as this. So I'm so honored and grateful to have you here to talk about your book and your aspirations that you want to be an author as a career path.
yes.
Yeah. And so how many siblings do you have?
I have one. My sister.
She's your youngest sister?
She is.
Okay. And so you'll be trailblazing and setting that example when your mom was so excited to have you on the platform when I talked to her. And what I'd like to do is kind of keep in contact with you. And if I come across anything that you can do, and I definitely like to have you back, if I come across anything that I can have you do or have someone do for you, I would definitely put you in contact with other people that are pushing forward and doing the business aspect of getting the books out there and whatnot, coming up with creative ideas to help market or, help others to get on or, family and friends. And that's a network in itself, you know.
It is.
When I was growing up, we didn't have a lot of authors come to our schools. They didn't talk to, they were just, the word illustrator on the book cover was about as close as I've ever gotten to an illustrator that I know about, or even an author for that matter. And it made it seem like they were just so distant and aloof. And have you considered going to schools and sharing
I
content?
have not. I've actually thought about going to bookstores, but that's actually an awesome idea. I think that would be really interesting.
Yes, there's different platforms for that where you can actually perhaps go into schools and especially with you being a teenager and of that age, I'm sure clearances would probably be easier for you, and you can go in there and teach a class on how to do what you do. whatever, and set it up, and then have perhaps the schools might be willing to purchase a couple of hundred of your books.
Yes,
Hmm.
that would be awesome.
So a good idea to start focusing on getting your book promoted more and getting it out there, you know.
Yes,
And so, and I know that COVID is there, but this is a good time to start thinking about all the things that you could possibly do.
it
Okay.
is.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much
Okay,
for
Miss
this.
Ava, I am going to let you go. It's been wonderful. Would you mind sending me a book? Do you have any ebooks?
I do. I actually have an ebook of this book, which is For All Them Lost. I have an ebook of that and all my children's books.
Okay, so they're all on Amazon.
Yes, they are on. This is on Amazon, and the other ones are on Story Jumper, and you can read them for free on the platform.
Okay, Story Jumper. Okay,
Yes.
excited for you. Okay, so it's been a pleasure, Miss Ava Rose. I am so excited, and I want to thank you for being a part of the Comfort Legacies book review. And we will definitely have you back. And you, any parting words you can want to say, you're welcome to chime in now.
Thank you so much for letting me have this opportunity. I'm really, really grateful for this opportunity to actually be on your platform. So this has been an awesome experience. It's actually the first experience like this I've had. So this has been really, really great. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you. Thank you. And we're going to work on getting you more interviews. So,
Thank you.
okay. So, thank you. And we will see you again. Okay.
Okay. Thank
Bye
you so
bye,
much.
Ava.
Bye.